Tonight, two teenagers face serious charges in two unrelated incidents: attempted murder and dangerous driving causing death. Those stories and
there are still concerns that there may be conflict.
I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. I think that the full needs to be laid out, explained.
More revelations about healthcare employees renting to travel nurses. There were more than just a handful of them, but no one will face repercussions.
I understand how it really impacts rural communities. I would say that you would believe that those workers are so important that they should have a contract that respects them.
The federal NDP leader is in St. John's and says he won't co-sign a back-to-work order. Meanwhile, support for Canada Post workers ramps up.
London, England isn't the only place you can take a direct flight to from St. John's. WestJet has now added direct flights to Paris and Dublin.
It will drive business opportunity here across multiple sectors.
Not every global traveler has to go to Toronto. Not every resident of this province has to go west to go east.
We'll tell you all about it coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin with news from the courts. A teen is facing charges for dangerous driving causing death. The two-car crash happened in Torbay back in February. Police say the driver was 17 years old at the time. The other driver, an 82-year-old man, died in hospital from his injuries. The accused has been released from custody and will appear in court at a later date. Meanwhile, another 17-year-old faces attempted murder charges tonight. It's all in connection with an assault against a woman in the west end of St. John's who was seriously injured near Curling Place earlier this month. Police say the teenager responsible fled the scene but was located several hours later. He was charged with multiple offenses, including aggravated assault, but further investigation prompted police to upgrade that charge to attempted murder. The identity of the teen is protected due to his age. Police say the pair are known to one another. And returning to a story we've been following about dozens of healthcare employees providing housing to travel nurses. We now know there were 57 leases between those employees and foreign-trained and agency nurses. But as Here and Now's Mark Quinn reports, those staff members won't face any consequences.
NL Health Services doesn't believe discipline is warranted. Its senior officials don't think health authority employees did anything wrong on purpose when they rented out accommodations to travel nurses.
There was no discipline as a result of that, but I'd like Debbie to speak to our just culture philosophy as to why that was the case.
So when we look into any situation, we need to look at all of the surrounding pieces to ensure that and to determine whether or not there was intent to do something that was underhanded or to hide something or to disguise something, and we did not find that in this case.
Last March, the health authority received an allegation that NL Health Services employees were acting unethically. Its investigation found 57 cases where health authority staff were renting to agency and foreign-trained nurses.
40 of those were staff members and 17 where a manager was a landlord. It's notable that many of the managers did not work in clinical areas. As a result of the review that was conducted, 51 employees were informed that their leases would be terminated. There were 6 leases that remained in place because they had went through a tendering process.
The opposition's health critic isn't satisfied with the health authority's findings. Barry Pettin has called it fraud, saying health services staff profited from the very employees that managers are supervising. He believes there should be an independent investigation of the leases.
Yeah, they don't investigate it themselves. Now they've done nothing wrong. I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. I think that the full needs to be laid out, explained, and then a proper investigation happen. You can't be investigating yourself.
The health authority says it terminated the 51 leases out of an abundance of caution. It's also asked the province's Conflict of Interest Committee to investigate.
There are still concerns that there may be conflict, and that's why we're going to ask the Conflict of Interest Committee.
The Auditor General's office is scrutinizing agency nurse contracts with the province. It's expected to report its findings in the coming months. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, no deal yet for Canada Post workers. Today, the Federation of Labour joined in the strike, sending members from their annual convention to the picket line. Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, who was in town for the convention, also took part.
The workers united will never be defeated. The workers united will never be defeated.
Today we have 250 union activists from across the province here in St. John's. We're standing shoulder to shoulder in solidarity with our union sisters and brothers and siblings and the postal workers who are fighting not just for a fair deal and a fair contract. They're fighting for the next generation of postal workers that will come after them.
Tell Canada Post negotiators to give their valued workers a good, respectable deal.
Big shout out to the postal workers. And a big shout out to all of you that are here today. We got a couple of important messages. First of all, Sister Jessica said this really well. One of the things that the postal workers are fighting for is that the employer put on the table two different tiers of pensions. One for one category of worker, one for another. And the workers are saying, no, not on our watch. We're not going to let workers be divided. We're not going to let the next generation get less than we had. And we support them on that fight.
The corporation has put in a proposal. Canada Post has one of the healthiest pension plans in Canada. We're funded at 137%. We have a $7 billion surplus. And the corporation wants to, any new hire, have a different pension plan for them, which takes the burden off the corporation and puts it back to the member. And we say no.
When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Solidarity, brothers and sisters.
I have heard many reports. It's affecting everybody from coast to coast, from urban to rural. Canada Post is mandated to provide a service under the legislation, and that service we do affects everybody. We do believe that it affects rural Canada, rural Newfoundland and Labrador a lot more, because what you have is, besides letter mail, you have packages and parcels, and a lot of the big private courier companies will not go into rural Canada, rural Newfoundland because of the cost. We are mandated to go into these communities. And the big thing is what the public really doesn't know, it's a thing called last mile. Most large courier companies will come to Canada Post with their product and we will deliver it to their home or their community. And what people don't know is that Canada Post is keeping the cost of these parcels down. So you're paying courier companies a larger cost and they're bringing it to Canada Post to deliver at the end of the day. So without those post offices and communities, a lot of communities would receive no parcels or packets.
Whose service? Whose service? Whose service? Whose service? Make some noise.
Well, anyone dreaming of a European getaway will soon have an easier time getting overseas. This spring, WestJet will have 3 direct routes from St. John's to Europe. Here Now's Jessica Singer has the details.
Sayonara, St. John's. The provincial government has just announced 2 new direct flights to Europe, and that's to Paris and Dublin. Travelers will soon be able to catch direct flights from YYT to London Gatwick 4 days a week, Dublin 2 days a week, and Paris once a week. That means the province will have direct access to Europe all week long from May to October. All direct flights are red-eyes. Travelers will take off at 12:30 a.m. and wake up in a new city. It's not just good news for people with the travel bug. Premier Andrew Furey also says it'll create new business opportunities for the province.
It's one of the most common things we hear at trade shows around the world is the frustration with travel to Newfoundland and Labrador, whether that's in the energy sector, the tourism sector, and this will alleviate a lot of their concerns, will allow them to come and see for themselves what Newfoundland and Labrador has to offer.
WestJet announced a direct route from St. John's to London Gatwick last November. Fury said that flight has been a huge success, so it's been extended to run through to 2027. But WestJet flights from the island to Europe haven't always been successful. The airline stopped taking passengers on its direct route from St. John's to Dublin in 2019. So what makes this time around different?
The difference is the leaders in this community. The difference is the level of partnerships we have. The difference is that everyone is engaged and has a stake in its success.
While the province makes strides in international travel, intra-provincial travel is another issue. Labrador residents protested last month demanding more affordable airfares to fly in and out of the Big Land. Some say the province should focus more on air travel closer to home. The province says how much the new international routes are subsidized will be based on how successful they are. It says it can't disclose all of the details for proprietary reasons, but it's provided a pot of up to $3.75 million to airports to expand routes. But Fury says a lot of the burden to reduce intra-provincial airfares lies on the federal government.
The federal government has carbon tax on the fuel. They have landing fees. They have airport improvement fees. They have security fees. They have a combination of fees that add a significant burden to the overall cost of the ticket. So it is incumbent upon the federal government to address this for the people of Labrador, for the people of St. Anthony, and for the people, I would argue, across all of northern and remote Canada.
Fury says the provincial government is working with local communities to find ways to reduce flight costs. And he says he's going to bring the issue to the feds in person. Jessica Singer, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the state of emergency in Paradise is almost over, which should mean much less congestion along a busy stretch of Topsail Road. Crews have been working to resolve an issue at the town's problematic sewage station. But Mayor Dan Bobbitt says there is an end in sight. A key piece of equipment has arrived. Pump trucks have been keeping lift station number 10 online for 2 weeks. Bobbitt says the necessary equipment was delivered over the weekend and is being installed. He anticipates the work will be completed in the coming days. Well, from a sewage situation to a mysterious ocean blob. The substance that started showing up on Placentia Bay beaches this summer is making waves once more, but this time it's not a mystery, it's a horror. The blobs are stars of a horror movie by a NIFCO film class.
My name is Brad Gover, and I'm a filmmaking mentor at NIFCO, and today we're doing a film class in Torbay. This particular class, what generally happens is in the class the students will pitch their movie ideas, and then they'll vote on which one they would like to shoot, and this is the one that got picked, and it's kind of a dramatization of the local news about the blobs that have been showing up on shore. And so what happens is the main character finds a blob on the beach, and the local people start to believe that it's radioactive, or that it could be alien, or that it could be something else.
Hi, my name is Mike Whalen, and I am playing the lead actor O'Brien. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's cool because this was literally a few weeks ago just an idea that we kicked around in class, so it was cool to see it come from a concept and boil the story down into a 5-minute script. And I mean, now we're here making it happen.
My name is Nadia Duman. I'm a part of the NIFCO's film production course as a student. This is the first movie I ever shoot and the first time I'm in a film crew, so it's very new for me and it has been an eye-opening experience. It's been really amazing working in this crew because it has people with diverse skill sets and levels of literacy around filmmaking and working on different productions. And like a person like me, like I come from a music background, has been really cool to see how filming works, and just the whole process of it, from creating a concept to developing a script to assigning crew roles to people. It has been pretty cool.
So I love doing this class. You get to meet all kinds of new people and you get to impress on them like how fun this is and things like that. So it's really rewarding for me as well. And so I just encourage people, if you have any sort of interest in film at all, whether it's like you want to make a career out of it or whether you've just wanted to tick it off your bucket list, we have lots of programming for people. You should visit us online. We have a Facebook and all kinds of social media, but we're also available at www.nifco.org, and there's lots of information there about this class and other programs and how you can get involved.
Well, temperatures are staying relatively mild. They will for most of this week, but if we take a look at the weather on the way headlines, unfortunately, we are back to the rain, drizzle, and fog for the island. Also, high tide. Expecting areas on southern areas of the island to see some high tide as we head into tomorrow. And unfortunately, more rain in the long-range forecast. We'll get into all those details when I come back a little later.
Well, with a rise in drug overdose deaths, more people in this province have been calling for help in the past year, and demand for safer drug supplies has also reached an all-time high. Julia Israel has that story.
So in this mailbox, we've got syringes, naloxone kits, and sterile water. And these are some of the safe use supplies that SWAP distributes throughout the province. This year in particular, their services have increased. They've distributed way more than usual. So we're here with them today to find out why and to see how they do it.
We have two types of needles. We typically refer to
in these boxes, clean needles, glass pipes, and filters. SWAP sees drug use as a common reality. Their goal is to make it safer, to avoid infection and overdose, to save a life. Demand is higher than ever.
We know that a large portion comes from just people not knowing about us and just accessing us for the first time. They were already using drugs, just, not with our supplies.
This is what the public usually sees when it comes to drugs. A police news conference, stacks of drugs, and a warning.
It's scary. The problem is there's no safe dose.
The drugs are here, people are using, a fact of life for SWAP. They are the province's sole provider of life-saving medical supplies for drug use. All that responsibility is on the shoulders of just 3 people.
It's a lot, we wish we had more of a capacity, for sure, but we're doing what we can, of course, to serve the whole province.
SWAP drops off to personal mailboxes, pharmacies, and community groups for free. But material for isolated places relies on Canada Post. Mailing safe use supplies eats up almost half their operating costs.
It's not like all of our towns even have cell service. And if we weren't able to mail things out there to get to at least some of the people there, where else, what else would they have? Nothing, right? We are so often the only program that people are even able to connect to just based on where they live.
SWAP is the province's direct supplier of naloxone kits. It's the drug that can save someone from an overdose. Last year, they distributed more than 5,000 kits. That's an 140% increase.
But in all honesty, there's still a lot of stigma, so much stigma, even just about, carrying naloxone. We get a lot of oh, I don't know anyone who uses drugs, or that's not for me, I won't need that. But ultimately, just like a first aid kit, we recommend having it because why not, right?
Demand for naloxone started to spike in July 2023 with reports of overdose deaths. That's when the public warning started.
It's going to continue to get worse. We're going to continue to see more deaths until there is an alternative to, the unregulated supply. You also never have to question if your alcohol is different than what the label says, right? That's kind of the difference there.
Drug use is a reality, so are the risks. The tiny SWAP crew is working to reduce those risks and keep people alive. Julia Israel, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, we saw Jagmeet Singh speaking at a Canada Post rally a little earlier in this show. The federal NDP leader was campaigning in St. John's today, and during a visit to our CBC radio studio, Singh announced his party's plan to cut the federal sales tax off daily essentials.
When it comes to relief, we know that folks are feeling really squeezed, obviously. The cost of living is on everyone's minds, the cost of groceries, the cost of your bills. And so we want to give people immediate relief. And one of our plans to do that is to take the GST off the essentials that you talked about. We want to take it off of your cell phone bill, your internet bill, your home heating, the daily essentials like diapers and children's clothing. These are ways to give people some relief right now. And we know that when you're feeling really squeezed, every little bit helps. I remember when I was also in my 20s taking care of my kid brother because things weren't so good at home and working 3 minimum wage jobs. Any little bit of help would make a big difference in my life back then, and I know it's going to help people out right now.
Well, here's a little behind-the-scenes look of our TV studio transformation. It's the reason why I've been broadcasting from upstairs in the newsroom here at CBC. Our CBC team has been very hard at work over the last week, giving our set a little refresh, some fresh paint, some brighter colors. We were rehearsing there today, getting all of our shots set up, and there's still some finishing touches to be made down there, and we hope to bring you the news from that new space this week. And I'm looking forward to being back down there with Ashley. Well, Ashley, it was so nice on Saturday to get a little reprieve from all of this rain. It was so beautiful in St. John's for a while on Saturday.
Yeah, we finally got a little bit of relief out there. We are right back to where we were for most of last week anyway, but let's take a look at what's happening out there. You'll notice, well, if you looked outside at all today, it is very foggy out there. And again, tonight, 200 meters is the visibility in St. John's. Gander's at about 800 meters. And really, anywhere in the eastern half of the island is seeing some pretty low visibility, even up across parts of Labrador, 2 kilometers in Happy Valley Goose Bay, same thing for Nain. That is generally going to continue as we head through the night. Tonight, temperatures are still relatively mild, about 8 degrees in St. John's right now. Temperatures along the south coast of the island are generally at 14 today. That's the hot spot so far. 12 degrees in Port aux Basques. And then we do have some cooler air up across at least Slab West, down to about -1 right now. And that's generally where you're going to sit as we head through the overnight tonight. But we do have lots of rain still falling, especially for those of you on the west coast just heading over the Port-au-Port Peninsula. You've been seeing some fairly heavy rain over the last little bit. And if we take a look at what's happening, we've got an area of low pressure to the south, and this is what is going to be our weather maker for the week. So it'll bring bands of rain, drizzle, and fog right along with it, pretty much across the entire island as we head through the day. Now, that area of low pressure also prompting a special weather statement. Now, this is for the Port aux Basques area around Burgeo as well, the Burin Peninsula, and then southwestern portions of the Avalon. The special weather statement, because of where that area of low pressure is, well, we're basically just going to see higher than normal high tide, and that will be for tomorrow morning, much like what you saw today. Just expect that again tomorrow morning. So here's a look at what's going to happen as we head through the next at least 12 hours. We'll see more periods of rain develop along with that fog for eastern areas of the island. That'll head towards central as we get into the morning hours. And then we're still looking at some unsettled weather up across Labrador as well, with the potential for some freezing drizzle or flurries for those of you in Lab West through the overnight. Now, temperatures will hover right around -1 through most of the night tonight. And then as you head further west, or further east rather, you're looking at between 3 and 4 degrees, and the island temperatures will stay between 5 and 8, except along the southern areas of the island where you're going to see your temperatures still quite mild as we head into tonight. For tomorrow, the periods of rain will head towards central and western portions of the province. As we get into the afternoon, eastern, at least the Avalon, will see more in the way of drizzle and fog through the day. Up across Labrador, still very much looking at those rainy conditions through the afternoon as well. Northern portions of Labrador, the snow will mix in there. And then same thing for Lab West, either some drizzle or even some freezing drizzle, at least to start the day, especially if your temperatures are still a little bit below zero. And then as we head through the evening hours, again, generally looking at the drizzle, and then another round of showers will move in, especially as we get into Wednesday morning. Really more periods of rain in the way, and that will move in as we head through Wednesday. So as far as the rain goes, most of us won't be seeing the heavy rain that we've been seeing, but we could pick up some heavier showers for those of you in southeastern portions of Labrador. Now, temperatures tomorrow are going to stay mild again, pretty decent, 10 to 11 degrees, but again, rain. As you head towards the west coast, even northern peninsula, single digits will be the story for you, and winds will generally be between 40 and 50 kilometers per hour. Now, northeasterlies will be the story across Labrador, 50 to 60 kilometer per hour winds with temperatures anywhere from about 2 to 6 degrees. And again, more of a wintry mix towards the west. Otherwise, most areas should see that all fall as rain. Now, long range forecast, like I said, there is some more rain in that. I will get into all of that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, in Corner Brook, a new attraction is transporting visitors to the North Pole, but it's not by boat or by plane. Instead, they step into a magical elevator. It brings riders directly to Santa's workshop, where they can meet old Saint Nick himself.
We're very excited to be working directly with Santa Claus for his portal to the North Pole. We're so happy that he brought it here to Corner Brook and let us be part of it. When you first come in, you'll see the storefront set up, and after that, you'll enter the portal to the North Pole, where you'll take a trip directly to Santa's workshop, where you'll meet the big man himself. It's a full experience where you'll see your elevator lift off, you'll come up through the cloud line, you'll see yourself flying down through the clouds, you'll come down to the North Pole and land directly in front of Santa's workshop. Oh, it's been amazing. The project from start to finish has been so fun to put together, and to see the reactions on the kids' faces and the families' faces to actually get their pictures right there with Santa Claus in his workshop is it's been really fun.
I had seen a video of it online a couple of years ago and thought, man, what a great experience to try to bring here locally. We're getting them coming as far as Gander, Grand Falls, Port aux Basques, St. Anthony, pretty much all over. It's been amazing. The kids pretty much lose their mind when they're in the elevator, and we get a broad spectrum of reactions, from fright to shyness to overall excitement. It's been the funnest part of the whole project, is seeing the reactions. When you see the kids, it makes all the work that you put in really worthwhile. It gives that meaning of accomplishment, I guess, to see that we hit our goal and we're bringing families together and really bringing the magical of Christmas to the kids.
These beautiful 130-year-old stained glass windows were just discovered in an old storage room here at Gower Street United Church.
They hadn't been seen for 50, 60, maybe 70 years.
Now we're just trying to figure out how to display them properly.
We'll tell you how they're getting a new life here on display coming up. A special and unexpected find. These 130-year-old stained glass windows were just discovered buried in an old storage room here at Gower Street United Church, and now they're getting a new life on display.
We knew that there were a couple of windows around. We saw them last year, and then so this time, so we looked and we said, what is that over there? And then we pushed and went in behind a few things. It's very dusty and dark because it's behind the furnace room that's in the bowels of the church. And so we went and picked it up. We thought, oh my goodness gracious. So, and then the shapes of the windows had come out. And we said, that is even more beautiful. There's a square window, conjures up something inside you, but that's beautiful arches. And then when the dust, you take it away and you see the colors, the greens, the pinks, it was just beautiful. We were excited. Once the church knew we found them, the church, some of the church knew they were there, of course, because they were taken down, you'll get that story, but 60 years ago or something. But so they immediately sent out a memo. So within minutes, the archivist was down here and a stained glass specialist was here. And, luckily we took good care of them and we didn't mishandle. And so now we're just trying to figure out how to display them properly. But right now we've incorporated them with our Christmas and they're just beautiful. So now we're figuring out the lighting and how people can see them best. But they're down low and people can look at them.
The windows we knew about, they were in an annex off the furnace room, which was originally the coal room for the church, which actually goes out under the sidewalk a little bit, but in the days when the furnace was coal-fired, the coal would be delivered into that room. So it was a nice, safe, dry place out of traffic to store the windows, but not ideal. So we thought it was terrific that these old windows could be mounted here where they hadn't been seen for 50, 60, maybe 70 years. Methodists, like many nonconformist Protestants, didn't go in and still don't go in for a lot of decorative items in the church. No statues, no altar, and going back in time, no images in church windows. So these windows from the 1890s, the original windows from the 1890s, reflect that. So they were still very beautiful stained glass, very nice effect from the colors when the light came through them. But beginning in the 1950s and then going on until the 1990s, tastes had changed. And it was decided that the church would accommodate these pictorial windows with images in them. Most of them are themes from the Bible. A few aren't. And slowly these windows were put in. New windows were put in. Most of them commemorating family members from the church. And of course, to accommodate the new windows, these old ones had to be taken out. So they were taken out fairly carefully. A lot of them survived.
They are in need of repair, and the wood, certainly the paint is chipped away. Of course, you see that, but the wood is damaged. The putty mixes around are damaged. There are some panes damaged. So we'll keep investigating now to figure out how best to preserve even that, because you want to fix the glass. But there's not too much damage on the glass itself, which is a beautiful thing, because you can't get that glass around at all. So we just knew it was special and significant, and particularly special because of the colors and the shapes, of the panes of glass. So it's a very beautiful thing, yeah.
Halifax police say the death of a Walmart employee last month is not considered suspicious. In October, a 19-year-old woman was found dead inside a large walk-in oven at one of the company's stores. The discovery was made by the woman's mother, also a Walmart employee. The police investigation concluded that there is no evidence of foul play. Well, after getting badly hurt in a car crash, an Ontario man took on the other driver in court and one of the country's biggest insurance companies, only to find himself under attack, he says, by key medical witnesses for the insurer. Rosa Marcatelli from CBC's Go Public team has the story.
John Graw's life changed in a flash 7 years ago when a driver traveling in the wrong lane hit him head on.
Some things developed over time, but a headache, confusion.
Unable to work and facing mounting bills, he says, Grawl went to court for compensation, taking on the other driver and his insurance company, Aviva. The judge accepted that he suffered a traumatic brain injury after multiple doctors backed that up. Yet one of the medical experts hired by Aviva testified that Grawl's brain injury had resolved, and the other said Grawl never had a brain injury at all.
I couldn't believe it.
Neither could the judge in the case, who called both of those medical experts out, saying neuropsychologist Dr. Lawrence Friedman had behaved like a bias-paid expert, trying to hide real and significant evidence from the court. He also called out the other expert, neurologist Dr. Sarah Mitchell, for her alarming lack of attention to detail and for contradicting her own medical opinion when she testified that Grawl's vacant stare wasn't a red flag.
If they have a vacant stare,
despite saying the opposite in a CBC interview a few years earlier. That case launched a wider Go Public investigation that found more than 24 other injury cases where medical experts hired by insurance companies were called out by the court. Medical experts have a duty to serve the court, not the side that hires them.
I think it's important that the public knows the quality of the medical evidence that is used in courts is a big concern.
She and Grawl's lawyer say that needs to change when doctors have a record of reprimands.
These experts should have no role in our judicial system.
The Grawl decision was appealed by the other side, but in the end, both sides came to a settlement. Aviva tells Go Public it expects its experts to be fair and objective. As for those two doctors in the Grawl case, Dr. Friedman didn't answer Go Public's questions. Dr. Mitchell says she stands by what she said in court and takes seriously her obligation to provide an unbiased expert opinion, saying that seemingly contradictory testimony was taken out of context. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Russia is warning there will be consequences if Ukraine uses long-range missiles to attack Russian territory. The U.S. appears to have shifted its policy, allowing Ukraine to hit targets deeper inside Russia with American-made missiles. While stopping short of admitting the change, the U.S. State Department is blaming Moscow for any escalation.
If Russia wanted to stop the attacks on its territory, it's the aggressor here, and it could withdraw from Ukraine.
For months, the U.S. ruled out easing limits on what Ukraine can strike with its American-made Army tactical missile system. The fear was that it could lead to escalation on Russia's part. The apparent change of U.S. policy seems to be tied to the arrival of North Korean troops in Russia to help fight against Ukraine. Well, deep fake pornography is on the rise. That's explicit images created by artificial intelligence. Now, those fake images feature subjects who never even posed for the images. They get used for extortion, harassment, and to embarrass the victims. And it's young people who are often targeted. Ellen Morrow has the latest.
This is one of countless sites, easy to find online, that uses artificial intelligence to nudify images.
We're gonna undress.
Oh, God. The result, a fake image that I never took that looks real enough.
It just feels icky. It's not me.
If I were just posting this on social media, I mean, it would convince a lot of people.
These were the messages that I got. You know, sounds like a teenager.
16-year-old Ruby in Toronto was targeted in a deep fake phishing scam. She received these messages telling her there were photos of her online, trying to get her to click on a link. But when she refused, Ruby was sent an explicit deepfake. A once fully clothed photo she had posted on social media now showed her topless.
Someone who I do not know has this picture of me where I really do look naked. And whether or not that's true, that's a really disturbing image that someone has.
There's one main tip line for all of Canada to report sexually explicit deep-faked images of young people, and it's here at the Canadian Centre for Child Protection in Winnipeg. They said last year they processed 4,000 of those images, and it was their very first year tracking them.
because of the availability of these tools that are often even advertised or made available for free. This has continued to grow and evolve and continue to be a problem.
The government's online harms bill targets tech companies to force them to do more to remove sexually explicit deepfakes, but the bill is tied up in a precarious parliament. All the while, the technology is rapidly improving. Brandon Lohr is an online safety educator delivering workshops to schools across Canada.
A hacker gets
that education more in demand as schools start to see deepfake porn cases of their own.
You really can't control what other people post about you. Once you press that post button, you do lose some control.
As far as Ruby knows, the deepfake of her was never posted publicly. The family's goal now, raising awareness.
What's still being taught around cybersecurity is that nothing ever leaves the internet, and to be safe, don't take nude photos. And that's true, but now it's an entirely other ball game.
Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, in other news, a gold watch given to the captain whose ship rescued more than 700 people from the Titanic has sold for over $2.7 million Canadian. The 18-karat gold Tiffany pocket watch was given to Captain Arthur Rostron from the widows of 3 wealthy businessmen who died when the Titanic sank in 1912. Rostron changed the course of his steamship, the Carpathia, during a journey from New York to the Mediterranean after hearing distress calls from the doomed liner. The winning bid for the watch is a record breaker for Titanic-related auction items.
Even so later in life, just learning about it is really nice to know rather than just sitting at a desk.
We're happy about that. A free meal never goes astray.
Well, coming up, seniors in Northwest River were treated to some traditional food, and cooking it was a whole different kind of class for the students in charge. Some seniors in Central Labrador recently got to enjoy the culinary talents of some high school students who cleaned and cooked partridges for a community meal. As one student put it, it's not pen and paper work. The CBC's Reagan Burden was there from prep to service.
What do you think of this event that the senior high students are putting off here today at the community center?
Well, it's a wonderful idea. I mean, look at the culinary side of it all. We got, traditional partridge soup on the go for us guys with the gray hair and ladies with the gray hair in our community. So we're happy about that. A free meal never goes astray.
These are the senior high from Lake Melville School, and they are cleaning partridges to make partridge soup for the seniors here in town.
Is this something that you've ever done before? Cleaning partridges, making partridge soup?
My family's made partridge soup and flummies before, but I've never actually gotten to pluck and clean one before, so that's really cool that I got to do that step as well. Some of us, like me, I haven't went hunting before or learned how to do this before, so now even so later in life, just learning about it is really nice to know rather than just sitting at a desk, like watching a video on it when you could be doing it ourselves, like hands-on.
I have skinned animals, but I haven't picked a partridge.
So when your teacher brought this idea to the class of cleaning partridges and cooking for community members, what were your thoughts?
It's not pen and pencil work, so I'm fine with it.
They don't often get a chance to do this in our community, so by the more of this we could do, the better,
I enjoy somebody else's cooking, not mine. So to come to the event like this, it's excellent. I've been here for quite a few years, and as the children grow up, I don't get to know them. But come into a session like this, get to know the kids a little bit better.
And I understand that all of the partridges that are being cleaned here today were donated by community members. How many did you get?
We got 31 partridges. I must say, when the school asks for help, the community comes out tenfold.
Okay, Ashley, you warned us a little bit earlier that the long-range forecast is going to stay kind of gray and rainy. What's in store for us?
Yeah, at least it's not snow yet for parts of the island, that's for sure. So as we head into Wednesday, so Tuesday night into Wednesday, this area of low pressure that I've been talking about is going to continue. Let's take a look at what's going on. And so here's that area of low pressure. So it is going to bring pretty much rain, drizzle, and fog in waves. Wednesday does look like this is when we'll see some of the heaviest rain in the east, and that will spread towards central and eventually the west coast and the northern peninsula as we head into the evening hours. Now, up across Labrador, other than southeastern portions of the Big Land, it's actually pretty quiet weather. Now, still looking at a little bit of a wintry mix, certainly possible in there, especially when the temperatures drop overnight, but through the day, most of that should fall as rain. Up across Labrador, you're looking at temperatures for central and southeastern portions anywhere from 4 to 5 degrees. A little cooler to the west and the north. That's where your better chances of some flurries will be through the day, with your daytime high sitting between 1 and 2 degrees. Now, across the island, the best chance of seeing the sunshine will be for the southwestern portion of the island, potentially a few breaks in the cloud cover there around Port aux Basques. Otherwise, between 6 to 10 degrees. So we're going to see a little bit of a drop in the temperatures, not much, but a little bit of a drop with single digits for the northern peninsula again. And you'll likely see your heavier rain showers as we head into the evening hours. Now, for Thursday, more rain certainly possible. Again, really southeastern Labrador and the northern peninsula, you could see amounts closer to 20, maybe even 30 millimeters of rain, and maybe more than that by the time we get into Thursday evening, as we see the rain really directed towards your area of the province. Otherwise, most of us are just seeing some showers or drizzle. And again, the fog continuing through the day and certainly through the overnight periods as the temperatures will drop a little bit as we head into Thursday again. So back to the single digits for most, except again along southern areas of the island. Again, this should be the best chance of seeing some peaks of sun in the mix there, and you'll be hovering between 10 and 11 degrees. Labrador, again, west and north, you're looking at flurries. Otherwise, showers and temperatures between 3 and 4 degrees. Now, the long-range forecast, temperatures will generally sit between 7 and 9 degrees. Again, periods of rain Friday and Saturday for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. For Central, you're looking at showers as well. Temperatures pretty similar, 6 to 9 degrees. Same thing for the West Coast, actually a little bit cooler. But some periods of rain will be the story for you, especially as we head into Saturday. And then for eastern Labrador, a little nice break in the weather for both Thursday and Friday. Temperatures dipping a little bit, and flurries really pretty much in the forecast for western Labrador, with your temperatures dropping below 0 as we get into Saturday. Our weather photo of the day is a shot of foggy Signal Hill. I bet you this was taken on Saturday when we saw a few peaks of sun there.
Yeah.
Great shot there, Jim. Thank you so much. If you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, send them to Facebook or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that's just a great shot, and I'm sure everyone appreciates seeing the sun right now, at least those of us here on the island who haven't been seeing a whole lot of it lately. Thank you so much, Ashley. And of course, for news anytime, you can always go to our website, cbc.ca/NL. Well, that's it for us on this Monday. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you can join us again tomorrow. Have a great night.